Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. I'm Jeremy Elliott, joined by Ryan Hand. Ryan, what a week. We had weather. We have a tire fiasco. We have all kinds of stuff going on. And it's not even, well, it just turned over to April. So, boy, is this what kind of year it's going to be?
Possibly, I guess, huh? The weather's really shitty. I'll give you that. I mean, we had a couple really warm days and we're thinking, hey, we already have spring. And now I'm not sure we're not back to winter.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we're going to jump in because it's Sunday. We're taping our three segments together. I'll do an interview or two later, probably Monday. You have softball games, all kinds of games. Are you playing?
No.
Oh, I get asked that.
No. It's my daughter, high school softball.
There you go. So we're knocking this out early. So going to jump in with what happened this weekend. Danny Dietrich, I think he's moving up that hot scale that when we do hot, not. Won his second straight at Lincoln Speedway. Came from 10th to first in 5 laps, 2 wins. He has, I think, 7 top 5s and 9 PA starts, whatever it is. And he's the best in Central PA right now, and now he's starting to win again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, made him look stupid at Lincoln. And he has been really fast at Lincoln. He's been one of the only guys that's been able to be successful passing in the heat races at will weekly, and then started 10th in this deal. And, I mean, somebody move up. Somebody move up and don't give him the lane.
On the cushion? Or you want somebody to move up to the cushion?
Apparently they had just watered it, and apparently before the race even started, it was almost rubbered up in one. So from what I was told, they watered the top, and he was the only one that was either able to run up there or went up there, but he made him look silly.
He did, and I agree with you. His entry was hard. Freddie get in kind of a groove and slide up to it, it looked like. But Danny, he just buzzed it. And then, of course, he knew, he's driving with he's using his head.
A lot of confidence.
Yep, and he dropped down to the bottom when he needed to. There was no way once he was out front that anybody was going to catch him or even threaten him. Tim Waldman had a good run, finished second, and Freddie got up to third, but nobody was challenging Dietrich. Unless something happened to that car, he was the class of the field.
Game over. He's going to be the class of the field right now at Lincoln. Freddie started out pretty good, but I think he's probably not where he needs to be to race with Danny right now.
I would agree with that. And Danny's hoping he can miss a race or two, a few races down there, and still possibly win the title or finish second. If he wins every time down there, the time trial races, like next week, is the Sterner Memorial, which obviously we'll talk about in our final segment. If he can do well in time trial events, look out, because he won 9 races there in 2012.
Well, what I saw out of his race car early in the night when the track was heavy and nobody could really pass anybody, I think he'll be able to time trial there okay. He just needs to be able to start around, if he can start somewhere close to like Freddie and whoever else is good that night, it'll be lights out.
Yeah, he's the best driver there other than Brent Marks when Brent Marks shows up.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about
his car looks really good.
It did. Up at Port Royal, Logan Wagner put the whole Macri-Wagner brouhaha from a few weeks ago behind him, and he won the 3rd race of the season at Port Royal Speedway. No surprise. He started on the front row. It was a time trial show. I expected him to win. I had him in the Wheatley pool. It was a no-brainer to me. Logan Wagner's going to be good at Port Royal. The fact that he was, 9th or 10th in points matters a little. He owns that place when it comes to the championship, so this comes as no surprise to me.
No, and, I mean, in my mind, the 2 championship contenders that are going to be there all year, Cisney didn't make the show, and Mike started side by side with him and didn't make it out of turn 2. So, I mean, realistically, the only way this is a points race is if Logan misses a race, in my opinion. Yeah. And they're not going anywhere. They're going there all year. They're going to try to win the points there, and their car is extremely good. He can run right through the middle, and even, I mean, he can run the middle groove and not give up any time. So they've got a really good car there. I mean, Anthony came from wherever 10th, wherever he started, 9th, and run second. But I mean, it took a lot of high wire action to make that happen. It looked a lot. His deal looks a lot harder than Logan's right now to be able to go fast there. Logan looks like he can float it through, and Anthony has to be really pushing it, hard to make speed. So.
Well, also Macker's going to travel.
I'm sorry?
Macker's going to travel.
Yeah, no, I didn't even consider him for the points. I just feel like the three best cars at Port Royal on a consistent basis for the last 2 years have won the first 3 races up there, hands down. You got Lance first week, Macri the second week, and Logan this week. They're the 3 best cars there.
I'm going to make a prediction. I think Dietrich wins up there this year. And maybe is more competitive. He's been faster. He just doesn't start well there. Like he's starting too far.
He hasn't been able to time trial there to put himself in contention to do anything. He has to start 17th, and you start 17th and run 4th. That's a good night at Port Royal because look who's ahead of you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those 3 cars are probably going to be ahead of you. You got to be able to time trial good there to give yourself a chance because those 3 cars will time trial good there.
Well, we'll see how it shakes out. Obviously, like I said, we have time trials this week at Lincoln. We'll talk about that a little more later. On the road, Brent Marks goes down to Devil's Bowl, and he spanked him. He passed Brian Brown for the lead, and at one point he was up over 5 seconds. Look, and I'm going to go back to what I said last year. He was the story of the year last year. And I know people want to say Tyler Courtney. Look, yeah, he was up there. But Brent Marks – he's doing something I haven't seen for a while, which is we know what we have. He's 5-6 wins a year. And then all of a sudden goes to CJB, learns some things. I think he learned what he does to the car stays there once he hits the track and he just focuses on driving. Whatever the case is, whatever that switch was, it's good because he can win he can win. It doesn't matter who he's facing in sprint car racing. He can win.
No, I agree. And the best part of the story for me, where's he from?
PA, not California.
Not California. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is
PA boy. Smashed him. No, Brent, honestly, the end of the year before he went to CJB, I thought was kind of his coming out party. I felt like he had a really good race car. He was really good toward the end of the year everywhere he went. Then he went to CJB, which, hey, I don't blame them for taking him. He was on the cusp of something big. It just didn't work out within him and that team, and they just really they never really gelled and never really got going. And he came back to his own car, and the rest is history. And here we are talking about a Devil's Bowl win against the Outlaws for $20,000 when he was one of the few invaders that did something there, and he did something big. He hammered him.
He did hammer him, and he's going to be with the Outlaws the next couple of weeks before he comes back to Central PA or the Northeast. He'll be at Bridgeport on the 19th, and then he'll be in here for the All-Stars. You know what? I think he can win 3-4 Outlaw races this year. I think he can win the Kings Royal. Any race at Eldora. He's really good at Eldora. He's proven that. He's won there before.
Yeah.
He can definitely win in here when the Outlaws are here. I think Brent Marks right now is a top 10 team, top 10 driver.
Oh, I agree. And I think this is as deep as his team's been because I think for years it's been him doing the majority of the work, trying to balance that with a family life. He's got a young daughter, and still put enough hours in at the shop to be super competitive. And now he's got, with the addition of Murray Marks, I guess Marks and Murray, whatever it is, with that addition, they've been able to, hire people to help take some of the workload off of Brent. And I think that's always only going to help him.
It can't hurt. Heath Moyle's been on the World of Outlaw Tour before. He's good car chief, can just
Yeah.
put them together and do a good job with that. So yeah, I think things are looking up. In California, we had the first NARC King of the West Series race at Stockton Dirt Track. I understand you had you were texting with Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, is this the first time you've
I
been
gave
texting?
no, we've texted a few times.
Okay.
It started with the timing and scoring was down. The announcer was terrible, is saying it nicely, and you really didn't know what the hell was going on because he, unfortunately for him, he wasn't getting the time. I just watched time trials and I had enough. He wasn't getting the times till the next car. The next car on the track was a lap and a half into his time trial run before they even announced the times. It was a disaster. It was pretty much indicative of what goes on in California with 410 racing. I think it was, I don't know. I actually saw someone else on the internet this morning bitching about the announcer. They're like, where's GP? And there was another guy they were asking about, and because they said, I think I can do better than that. And I was like, okay, someone else felt the same pain I did. And I'm not making fun of the announcer. I'm just saying it just wasn't good.
No,
And he was in a difficult place because timing and scoring wasn't working, which that baffles my mind.
yeah, I don't understand that. First race of the year, but I mean, look, everybody runs things differently. I'll tell you who was good though was Colby Copeland. Colby Copeland was real good. I thought
he was super good.
Yeah, he led all 25 laps. He gets the win. I thought this was a good win for the series too. And I know,
yeah,
Dom didn't win.
Right.
Justin Sanders was in the 57 and didn't win.
He got him and Madsen. I watched the highlights this morning. Him and Madsen got together a little bit, going down the back straightaway, and Justin ended up maybe off the track just a little bit.
Yeah.
Gave up a couple spots, but I think Dom led the first 2 laps at Copeland, like left him sitting in the one corner, and that was it. Track had a little character to it,
yes,
as Stockton normally does. I don't think I've seen Stockton real smooth a whole lot ever.
Every California track has character.
Yeah, but that Stockton's big enough to be faster than most of the tracks out there. Stockton's got a decent size to it. Yeah. And you don't want something super rough when you have some speed, because there was some traction in it yet.
Yeah.
It was interesting. But no, I guess one of the big takeaways from that race was, your 2 big guys in California that, ate up most of the wins last year did not win the race.
2nd and 6th, your guy, you took a beat in the picks.
Of course I did. Of course I did.
But don't worry, we'll get to that. But no, I thought, you know what, they didn't have any issues.
No,
like colorful issues that we've
right.
had before. They run next week at Keller Auto Speedway. Hopefully they can, the program's smooth. There's no problems. There's no hiccups, no shenanigans. So all in all, good start for NARC. And Colby Copeland, who's not going to be a regular with the series, gets the win. So that's not a bad thing.
No, I thought it was a good thing. I thought it was good that, I think it gives everybody a little bit of hope out there. I mean, obviously Scelzi starts in the pole. It's mail it in time, right?
Most of the time.
Copeland said, no, it's not mail it in time. It's time to beat him. And he did.
Yeah. So we'll see how that develops. We had some other races happen around the country. Blake Hahn wins an ASCS Sooner event at I-81. Tanner Carrick wins at Ocean Speedway. Terry McCarl wins a 360 race at I-80. Some other stuff, we can catch it all on sprintcarunlimited.com. Rainouts and weather is really a big story again in Central PA. Williams Grove banged out. That's 6 races this year we've lost to weather already. We've had 2, I believe 2 at the Grove, 2 at Port, 1 at Lincoln, and 1 at Sealands Grove.
You act like this is craziness, but it's what the craziness part of it is we're trying to race in March and February. That's the craziness part of it.
Well, here's the other one. Attica lost again. to the third
Yeah.
week in a row. And now their season opener is going to be next week with the All-Star Circuit of Champions. That's got to be a little nerve-wracking. And Waynesfield, Wayne County, Ohio, it's cooler than Central PA.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be next weekend again.
Yeah, they could be in trouble again next week because we don't have a very nice week shaping up to start the week. So
No.
I think Monday's going to be okay, but after that, we're going to be awfully wet here for a little while.
Yeah, I don't know how that affects the Grove on Friday. Who knows?
Not very good. I think it affects them.
Yeah. California, though, Joe always reminds me it's 70 and sunny in Fremont.
That's right. That's right.
Sun shines on the best drivers locally. That's what.
Well, all I can say is we had the sun this week.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you
Pennsylvania reeled her in. That's right.
That's true. Then why didn't you pick them?
I'll be honest with you. I have a hard time not picking, who did I take? I took Logan. Logan blew up in the heat race.
Yeah, you knew you were in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, he got to Jacob. And I actually watched that because I'm like, okay, he has a legitimate chance to get in the redraw here. Past Jacob, you're in. Got to the bumper, Jacob, and blew up. I'm like, okay, I don't need to see any more of this tonight or I'm going to go crazy. So that went off. Then I tried to find the NARC race. That was a disaster. And then that's when Joe and I started texting, and that was a disaster as well.
So then you were done with sprint car race and turned on.
I think I watched, and that was the night before I watched girls basketball.
Did you watch Duke,
Yeah.
North Carolina? You just said
No, I didn't see one play of that game.
Yeah, that's all
I'm
right.
kind of disappointed. I really wish Coach K could have went out in the finals, but man, I just feel like he's one of the greatest coaches in the history of anything as well. I mean, we talked about Cal Sanderson, but
Yeah.
Krzyzewski's. How many times Krzyzewski, and he's not the only one. There's a lot of college coaches that they get the 1-year wonders that are super basketball players, but they're still kids coming in there, and they probably need to stay at college for a year or two.
Yes.
But they don't, and it seems like every year is a rebuilding year, but for those schools it's just reloading. And by the end of the year, Coach K has them kids ready to do battle with the best teams. Early in the season it looks a little rough, but by the end of the year, he always has them ready to rock and roll. And I think he's gonna be a hard guy to replace.
Yeah, I'd say he's going to be hard to replace.
Yeah.
But that's going to wrap up segment 1, SprintCarLimit.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. We'll be back in segment 2 with a guest. Stay tuned. Welcome to segment 2, SprintCarLimit.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Join us on the phone is USAC competition director, race director, handles a lot of different things. It's Kirk Spridgen, who's had a very interesting week, really probably an interesting 2 months, more than he'd like to. Kirk, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Jeremy, how are you?
I might be better than you. I don't often say that. But considering everything you've gone through over the last week via social media, I'd say this has been an interesting start to your season.
Yeah, definitely not the one you expect. Especially having a lot of changes in the off season for us, and then a lot of things we were excited about going into Florida. Florida always presents its own challenges, whether you're, I think we fought rain again, 2 or 3 of our 5 nights. And luckily we were able to get everything in. That's the big win, leaving there. We had a couple good nights to finish it up and kind of leave there feeling pretty good about working through everything that presented itself, and of course that always leads itself into the next set of issues. So that's just part of it, I guess.
Well, let's get into it. Obviously, one of the reasons you're on the show, which was for a different reason, but apparently 4 guys came up with a tire test that didn't pass at Ocala, and they didn't pass for, I guess they were close to this for the same reason. What made you guys, instead of just enforcing penalties, what made you go seek out 2 other testing sites, send out 3 samples a second time, including one to Blue Ridge, who originally did the original test?
Comparing this, current situation to just what we've had in the past, our usual response is basically we automatically do a chemical breakdown, which is sometimes something that people give teams when they appeal, but we actually do it immediately. I think we sent in our samples like the 22nd, just one of the first couple of days after we got back from Florida, and we actually were informed of some samples that didn't conform to the benchmark on March 2nd, and we immediately just asked for a chemical detail report, just basically breaking down what all's out of whack on it. And generally, when we get that back, they can point to whatever is not conforming to the benchmark and say, hey, this is what's in it. We've seen this before. Known tire softener. It's on this list of chemicals that we've seen before, and sometimes even to the point of here's where I've seen it, or maybe this is even a basic softener that they've used, or whatever it may be, treatment that they've used. And that's where we've been before on every situation like that that's come up. This one was just a little bit different in that it's something that we had never seen before. Our the main chemical that stuck out that was different is something that we had never seen before, and something that the lab said that they had not seen and not identified as a common chemical in a softener. So that just makes you wonder a little bit. And from there, we basically just went into a fact-finding mission at the same time as basically trying to make sure what we had would hold up. Obviously a strange situation there, but we just wanted to make sure that what we had was something that was going to stand up to any scrutiny after the fact, and that we felt confident in it.
So when you sent out the second group of samples, did you send them all out at the same time to each lab?
Yes, we took 3 samples from the same tire at the same time and sent them to 3 different places. Again, at the time, not necessarily certain of what we were going to find, or if they just basically all come back and confirm where we were, and we could just go forward. And by the time we reached out to the individual teams, that was the message that we had to give them as well. That we were, in the process of, trying to gather all the information we could and figure out as much as we could, but we couldn't, foresee the future or guarantee what those results would come back as. So, until, we could get, further analysis and those test results back, we really didn't know which direction that might lead us.
What ultimately led to you USAC not penalizing those 4 teams?
We looked at the results from the same tire, again, testing the same way at the same original lab, and the that same tire, the 2 samples that we sent to the other 2 labs coming back differently. To us, that was enough doubt in the air. We went to a couple labs. We've used 2 labs fairly regularly before, but we went to a net lab that we've never used before that's highly accredited and came at the referral of somebody we respect in the industry, and knew that that was a lab that could give us a little bit more feedback and some more analysis that we could trust. And at that point, it did not feel like anything that we could stand behind. At that point, it just from their reaction and analyzing not just the tire but the other tests that we've had, their reaction from analysts, again, who know far better than any of us on this side, it became pretty clear that this is a situation that's not quite so simple and not just as easy as issuing penalties and moving on. So we're not done. I mean, that's the other side of this is, we want to identify exactly what we have here, and we're willing to spend the money, and obviously we've spent the time and are willing to spend more, but we want to get to the root of exactly what we have so we can feel confident in our process going forward, and know that when our tests come back that those are ironclad, and we can go forward with penalties or feeling confident that we're not letting anything slip through the cracks at the same time. So that's that's the ultimate conclusion to this is, we want to take every last step we can, and go to greater lengths to make sure that, we've exhausted, every avenue we can to make sure we have a good process going forward.
So you take this extra time, you take these extra steps, and yet there's a lot of blowback on social media. How frustrating is that for you to know how much you kind of put into this thing, to do your due diligence, recognizing that there was something out there that you haven't seen before, and then to kind of get just criticized on social media? Is that kind of frustrating to you a little bit?
I mean, it's something you get used to in general in the business. I mean,
Touche.
Nothing really new. It's the same. You go through situations like that all the time where, and at the end of the day, look, racers, they can't worry about everybody else. They, at the end of the day, sometimes it just comes down to their specific instance, their specific situation. And, that's a lot of, I see that coming out and in a lot of that it's hard for anybody to put themselves in the position of even considering that they could be in the same spot. And, obviously these teams involved in this and in many other instances before have been adamant that they, have not done anything to their tires or whatever it may be. At the end of the day, there are a lot of competitors who just think, well, I don't ever do anything to mine, so this would never happen to me. And, that's something that comes up across the board in all of life, even, that sometimes it's hard to have that empathy, but, I definitely know it's that way in racing, and it's not always perfect. I mean, you go through time, just in Florida, we had rain instances where we had to, restart completely. We'd already gotten into qualifying, but then rain came and we had to run in the racetrack for, a lot of laps, and unfortunately guys had to, mud pack and everything else. And, so everything brings its own, situation to the table where it's not always perfect for each team. And so you deal with that a little bit along the way, or it's a a race that you cancel, or it's a race that you don't cancel early enough, or whatever it may be, track conditions and all the way down the line. So it kind of just goes in line with that. I mean, you're always going to have people who are upset because it doesn't work out, perfectly for them. We wanted to be, we wanted to offer all of our teams, basically invited anybody who's raced with us on the sprint car side to attend a meeting we had last night at our headquarters in Speedway, or to monitor through Zoom, basically just so they could see everything that we've seen and hopefully understand where this has taken us. So, whether they believe or don't believe, the teams themselves, they can at least maybe appreciate the process. And then, whether they're happy with the end result or not, hopefully we can, put faith in the process going forward and how, we'll have things buttoned up for races down the line.
Now, you had that meeting last night. Do you feel that you made progress in that and maybe getting that information out to teams? Do you think that did some good in the overall how this thing's received?
Oh yeah, I mean, it definitely does good. I think, as we've seen, the more people who know, the more of our competitors who have learned more about the whole situation, I think the more willing to understand it all they've been. The hard part is, as a sanctioning body, you wish you could just throw everything out in the open to the public from the word go. But unfortunately, that's just not the way you have to handle it. Literally not allowed to handle it that way. And that's across the board. I mean, all of us are kind of in the same position on that, where it would probably help us somewhat in that light if we were able to share everything, but we can't. But we did as much as we could. And again, we, couldn't publicize things, but we could show them to people and without sending it out to everybody and letting everybody have it in their own hands. And I think that did help in this situation. I think that would always help if you're able to. We've had, situations in the past where, Levi's been, Levi Jones, who was with us before, has been frustrated at response to, kind of things in this vein, and has, wanted to just show people results. And we've done that before, but it's unfortunately not something that you can get out in front of as easily. And in this case, I think, part of it was that there was a wait, and, that's the hard part too, when even for me, it's hard to be patient and wait for results to come back from labs, and wait for, additional benchmark samples to come from Hoosier. All those things take time. I mean, from us sending stuff to, them getting everything they needed, to them running tests, to them putting together results and everything else, all of a sudden weeks drag on, and so I understand the impatience of people and wanting to know things quickly, and because I was the same way. And at that point, as soon as we got our final results, we were moving forward with what we had. And it just so happened that it was the way it came out the way that it was. But we were prepared to go forward with whatever they were able to give us. And as soon as they did there on, I think it was the 29th, when we finally got stuff coming back from all three labs, that's when we could finally go forward.
Well, see, we taped our other three segments, and I want to tell the audience that we on Sunday evening. I'm talking to you now. It's Tuesday. I've given my opinion on this, and obviously I've talked to some of the drivers. I've not talked to the four drivers involved. I didn't feel that was really necessary to get what I needed. I've given my opinion on this in segment 3. from that standpoint, uh, I understand. One of the things I mentioned in that third segment is you gain nothing by trying to fudge this stuff, where you're trying to get these four teams. And look, they're four big teams. They're four big drivers. I know they sell tickets. But this has come at this has been an expensive cost for you guys to go through this. If you were just going to ignore it, you wouldn't have went through all this cost. And I think that's important there. This has cost USAC a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, uh, luckily all the way to the top, our organization's been supportive of, trying to come to a conclusion, whatever the cost may be. And even going forward, I mean, if, we're committed to, making sure we have the right process in place and being confident in our results going forward. And that's going to cost money, even beyond this. And we're aware of that. And we have the full support, all the way up to our CEO on that. And, that at least makes me feel good that it is really easy to, avoid that expenditure and avoid the uncomfortable subject. I guess it is. It's going to be uncomfortable either way, but I think it's better for everybody. And I can tell you, it feels better on this side to feel you are getting to the right answer and to be confident that we've, found, a solution, found a path to do it better going forward. Makes me feel a lot better from where I was, however many weeks ago. So, it's not perfect and it's not as clean and clear cut as we want it to be, but I feel a lot more confident about, everything about this whole situation now than I ever have before. And that was a big part of the meeting too, is look, we know where we are now, and there's going to be, we're going to ask a lot of our competitor base going forward. They're probably not going to, be the biggest fans of tire samples at some point, in the near future. But, that's just going to have to be something that everybody deals with, because this isn't the end of it. And we definitely want to have a tight grip on it from here on out. And that's what we're going to do. So, after last night, I've had a lot of good response, and I think a lot of support, and and that's where we are on it. So we'll just try to keep getting it right and learn more about it and do it the right way.
Well, that brings me to the aftermath of this. What have you learned as an organization? I know you mentioned there were some holes that maybe you could close now. When I talked to you earlier today, what have you learned? What has USAC learned from this whole tire gate thing?
Yeah, I think just the main thing is, procedural, and making sure that everything's buttoned up on the process side, and beyond that, we're not afraid to question anything along the way. But I think the biggest thing, and we brought this up in the meeting last night, that there's a respect between everybody who works on our side of things and all the competitors. And we've seen it all. I had people in our building last night that, contrary to what people think, nobody on our side of things really cares who wins and who loses. You want, a safe race, and you want it to be a good race if it can be, for the good of the business. But nobody really cares one way who's winning and who's losing. But you do feel good for people when they, hit that landmark. And we had, certain people in our building last night, and one I pointed out was Jake Swanson, a guy who raced with us all season last year, followed the entire trail, and then got his first USAC National Sprint Car win at the very end of the season at Paris, and maybe probably our best finish of the year. And, the message that I had on that was, we watch everybody go through that, and we feel good for them when they get to that moment. And we don't ever want there to be something out of their control that potentially could take that away. And that was one thing that we wanted to learn from this, was to make sure we have a process that is fair to the racer and gives them a real opportunity to defend themselves if, that position would arise. And, I think, whether it's, these four, or if there were ever anybody else, you know, one, I don't want a guy to get out of the car after his first win and be worried that, he might have an issue with a tire that he knows is clean. But then beyond that, I want them to know that, that we'll go through whatever processes we have to ensure that we get that correct, and that, they have the opportunity to have a fair appeal and defend themselves, at least to some extent, when something like that comes up.
That being said, with the four teams, I've mentioned the names. I know who they are. I mentioned it in my third segment. I'm not going to put you under the gun. People know. Um, should fans and fellow competitors, in your mind, feel that these guys were all on the level and competed on a level playing field with everybody else?
I mean, from what we found, there's no reason to think that they didn't. That goes back to not only this test, but anytime they've been tested before, they've passed, and these are probably some of the more tested teams that we've had, at least in our circles. So everybody can have their own opinion. That's not really our job to dictate or anything like that. Obviously, we can't get into the details or any of that until we have results that we issue penalties. But beyond that, everybody has their own opinions and can arrive at that on their own. And I think anybody from other competitors to crew to fans or tracks or whatever it may be probably has some sort of link to one of these teams, at least, that they can venture down that road themselves and and ask those questions themselves. And at that point, it's really up to everybody individually whether you believe somebody or not. But everything we found, and everything we felt like we could corroborate and make hold up, has told us that there's no reason for us to go forward with penalties.
Good enough. With your testing now, are you planning to do more extensive testing? I know you said people or some of your drivers are probably going to get not be too happy with all the testing you're going to do, but are you going to change the process a little bit now and maybe double up on how many places you send a tire test, or how's that going to work?
Well, it's honestly just a little bit of a test itself in the near future, just to determine what we're comfortable doing, and like I said, yeah, they're probably not going to be a big fan of it for the foreseeable future. But part of that is taking a good amount of samples and at least giving ourselves the option of sending to multiple places and being able to examine everything we've got. So it's probably a time frame where nobody is going to try anything stupid, but at the same time, we just want to make sure we have everything in order for that time down the road when maybe somebody does think they can try something again. And we want to make sure we're ready for that and prepared for it. And we've even had we've had a protest in our rule book, and I think other groups have had something similar. But especially as this became a bigger topic, in the last, I don't know, 2 to 3 years, especially, we've had a protest option in there for tires itself that hasn't been used by any teams, but it is something that we've reminded them of many times over the past couple of years, that's always an option if anybody does want to protest another team's tire. So we'll just have to see where the results take us, and again, this was all a learning process for us too. And, I feel a lot more informed about everything than I was not that long ago. And, I think that doesn't end here, but it does, we have gotten closer and closer to what will ultimately be, our process all the time that we feel really good in.
Now, I got one more question before I let you go,
Yeah.
and I appreciate your candor on everything. Obviously, it was a difficult issue, a difficult thing to deal with the last couple months. The Extreme Series. Obviously, with everything that's happened, I mean, that has to enter your mind. Oh, there's another series out there. I mean, it's human nature. Does that, what the World of Outlaws done over the last 4 months, 5 months, back to PRI when they announced this thing, does that make you nervous as a group?
I mean, at this point, I wouldn't say it's nervous. I guess, anxious about seeing how it plays out. I was especially, anxious and excited for what effect it would have on Florida. That was always something that we wanted to do before, and had been close to doing with us involved in the past. And obviously, it is something that they basically did on their own, but complemented what we had while we were down there. So, most of what they have out there now is so complementary to stuff we already have that in the short term, it's been a really good thing for guys who do this stuff and aren't able to run all three divisions with us. Obviously, anybody who runs all three divisions that we have, they're busy. They don't have room to add anything else. But if you're a sprint car only guy, this has been great for them to be able to add a nice chunk of races to their schedule and do it for pretty good money at pretty good racetracks and all that. So I'm anxious to see how it all works out. I mean, I don't think anybody really knows at this point what ultimate effect it'll have, but I do think I'm a sprint car and midget fan, so it's cool to me to see the opportunities there for racers who run this stuff. And that goes back to my younger years and following different stuff. Obviously I liked USAC all along, but there were other things that popped up over time too that added to that, and I think that's cool as a fan of this style of racing in general, that there have been some other options come up for those guys. So I'm hoping that they can all take advantage of it, and I hope it paints what we do in a positive light. I hope people enjoy the product and the racers, and and it can expand this style of racing a little bit farther. We've seen so much expansion, especially in the last between 10 and 15 years. It's been just incremental all the way up, but especially in the last 6 to 8, the expansion into different markets that were, to be frank, pretty anti-wingless racing. It's been pretty cool to see that. So I'm hoping that that momentum keeps going, and as long as the product's good and the tracks are good, everything else goes smoothly, I think those races can do that. And to me, that benefits everybody.
Well, Kirk, thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Again, thank you for your candor. Again, it hasn't been a pleasurable couple months for you or the organization, but I think you guys negotiated it well. And again, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We'll definitely be ready to get back to the racetrack. Hoping everything comes together quickly and we get some decent weather and can start getting into our busy season. We've got over 90 races left to go, and we're ready to get after it. So, hopefully we'll see everybody at the racetrack sooner rather than later.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yep.
You always get more at Red Robin. More to crave? More to share? And more time with those who matter most. At Red Robin, you get all the fulls.
Red Robin. Yum.
Where bottomless steak fries are free with every burger.
Welcome back to segment 3, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Ryan, we're going to delve into this USAC tire thing that kind of blew up over the last 3 or 4 days. Wow, what a mess. What a mess. So,
Yeah.
This is what happened. So, Extreme Series, Evolution, Grant, Stocking get clipped. Okay. Ocala, Bubba Raceway Park. This is where USAC steps in. It was Axum, Grant. Now, they haven't released these names yet, but I've done some research on this, and I've talked to different people within the wingless community. So I have a pretty good handle now of what's going on, and also how I feel about it, which I'll be writing about later in the week. It was Axum, Grant, Thorson, and Stockton. This is what I'm told. So they get their tire samples. They send them away to a testing plant. It's Blue Ridge, North Carolina. The Outlaws use them as well. Tire test comes back as not being legal substance, but they don't. It's not a substance that's normally detected when tire doping occurs. Sends a red flag to USAC. USAC decides.
But wait, let me step in here. All 4 tires showed the same thing, correct?
Yes, they were very.
Correct. I think that's a very pivotal.
Yes, it is.
Because none of them guys are teammates. None of them guys are 2-car teams.
Not that I know of.
No, they're not.
So, yeah, they were all they were really, really close, almost identical in how they didn't pass.
Mm-hmm.
USAC, obviously, no doubt these 4 teams, I've heard rumors that they were going to sue. I've heard different things. However, regardless, USAC, it sent a red flag to USAC. USAC brought in 2 other testing sites. Okay. So one of which is an accredited lab that deals, I think, with forensics. It's not a mom and pop shop is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
It's expensive. So the other 2 testing, so they sent 3 samples out again, one to Blue Ridge, one of these other 2. Blue Ridge comes back dirty again. The other 2 cannot detect the substance that was originally in the tire that made it not pass. USAC put out a release this week. Because of this, they're not going to pass down any penalties, so on and so forth. Well, social media goes nuts. Robert Ballou's mad, obviously. We knew that would happen. Keith Coons puts out a release, says he won't run any sprint car races. Don't know how many he would have ran anyway. I mean, I heard various things. Some other teams pulled out. Then, ironically, Lawrenceburg banged out this week, albeit I don't think it had anything to do with what's going on with tires. And on top of that, they're going to have a meeting at the headquarters on Monday. I'm sure a lot of teams will call in. Some will probably show up. I don't know what that's going to be like, but what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are I feel like USAC did the right thing. I would say if 2 of them 4 teams came back with varying results that the tires didn't pass the benchmark and then the other 2 were fine, I'd say, yeah, maybe you had some tampering going on. But when 4 teams come back with a substance that is not normal, all 4 the same, which I can't even imagine that would be the case. I think obviously that threw some red flags for USAC, and I feel like they did the right thing by consulting 2 other firms. And then the other firms can't find the original component that was supposed to be in the 4 illegal tires. So I think, honestly, right now, I think they've opened up a can of worms. Because now, who do you send your tire samples to?
Well, from what I gather, I think they're going to send them to multiple places now. I think, obviously, I think they'll still continue Blue Ridge. The Outlaws still do. I think they'll probably double up, which is going to be an extra expense to USAC. I think they're going to do more testing. I have not reached out to Spridge or Kevin Miller yet. I kind of wanted to get a feel from some teams, some major players in the wingless community, and I did that. And I think I got a pretty good handle of what's going on. And I agree with you. And here's why. What does USAC gain? Because here's what's – first off, this is what some people are saying. People are saying, oh, they went to a lab where they'll get the answer they want so they can let 4 of their stars off. Well, I don't buy that because they didn't – then they would have just went to 1 extra lab. They went to 2. And they didn't send them out to 1, then wait for the results, then 2, wait for the result. They sent them out. From what I gather, this is from what my research tells me. And the other 2 didn't find it. So I don't – plus they consulted with a as they called it, a professional compounder from one of the largest manufacturers of tires. As a third, I mean, they've done their due diligence.
No, that's the part I feel like they've done plenty of work.
Yeah, but here's the other thing: what does USAC gain by letting these guys off the hook? And I know people say, "Well, they'll have their stars." They gain 0, and here's why: because you have the Extreme Series right over here.
Yeah,
they're waiting. And if you think the Outlaws are not going to get bigger with this wingless series, I have some land to sell you in Lebanon County because where I live, because they are. That's what they're going to do. And
I agree.
There's no benefit for USAC to let these guys off.
No, I totally think USAC did the right thing. Like, yes, they're their big guys, but I also feel like they are taking care. To me, as a competitor, hey, they're doing their duty. They're checking to make sure nobody's cheating. Okay, and then on top of that, when they don't get the results when they get results that are pretty weird,
yes,
then they've done their due diligence again to say, hey, something's not quite right here. Now, if they would have sent, if those 4 specimens would have came back as illegal from the other 2,
let's say
slam dunk. Slam dunk.
Let's say it's True Green. Isn't it True Green is not allowed to use anymore?
It's not true. It's Simple Green. Simple Green.
Yeah, Simple Green.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't dope. I don't dope my my automobile tires to get to the track, but
or clean anything. Obviously, if you never use Simple Green.
I've never used Simple Green either. But yes, you can't. I mean, they announced that at an All-Star meeting. Simple Green, you can't use it. If it would have come back with Simple Green, hey, you're done. That's it.
I honestly, but Jeremy, I know, like, how do you know? A lot of these guys we talked about this before. A lot of guys go to car washes and wash their tires in the car wash, possibly with soap that they brought, possibly with whatever soap's in the car wash. How do you know what's in that soap at the car wash?
You're responsible.
And in today's, what just happened with the tire prices, trust me, a lot of guys are taking care of their tires now. They're going to wash them and have them for next week.
Yeah.
So I think that is something you got to watch, because I know, I mean, we always our tires were always clean. Like, I just feel like a dirty tire is dry and nasty feeling and whatever. So we always did a really good job washing tires, and I was always very finicky about it because I wanted them clean. But I don't know. I feel anybody who's upset with USAC on this is I'm not sure why, because I feel like they've done everything for the guys that were possibly offenders, as well as the people that are standing there watching going, hey, I don't dope my tires. But they didn't find any tire doping issues with 2 other labs. So I think they've done the right thing.
Here's the other thing. What happens if it happens to somebody else? Say a team that isn't one of these 4.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want that extra fail-safe if things look odd?
Yeah.
Reputations are on the line.
Huge factor.
There's implications possibly with sponsors.
Oh,
Look, I'm all for nabbing people for doping tires.
me too.
I'm all for that. But if something looks weird in a court of law, this would be thrown out. That's because there's reasonable doubt.
I don't know anything about a court of law, but it's a reasonable enough doubt for me.
Well, it's reasonable doubt. If 2 labs come back, right there's a reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And and here's the other thing: they're more expensive.
Yeah.
USAC gained.
Oh, I'm sure.
USAC really didn't gain a lot by going to these other labs. It cost them a lot of money. It cost them a lot of time. Now, I will say, here's where USAC screwed up. They weren't transparent enough about it from the start. That's where they screwed up. So I think they did the right thing and are doing the right thing. I just think how they went about it maybe could have been done differently.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they probably tried to keep it under hat, but in racing, very few things are kept under hat. Very few. Very few.
And I'm not calling out Robert Ballou, but with Robert Ballou in the mix, you're not keeping it under your hat. So
I'd agree.
He's on social media, and that's nothing against Robert Ballou. I think Robert Ballou wants it to be on the level.
Yeah.
And so but here's the other thing too. I think people want people to be caught cheating. How many times have people thought you and Greg cheated? How many times?
A few.
I hear it when a guy.
Whenever anybody's fast, Jeremy, they didn't do their homework.
Yeah.
They're cheating. They're doing something illegal.
It's always that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like California, were Dom and Justin illegal last year? No. Was Donnie illegal all those years? No. Was Steve Kinzer illegal? No. But people said it. People, now I didn't hear anything about last year, but I used to hear it about Donnie all the time.
Yeah. No, it's people just like to talk. People don't talk, do your homework, do your work, and you'll catch up.
I agree. And that's where we're at with it. Like I said, I'm after talking to multiple people, I'm more on USAC's side now than I was when this first came out. There's reasonable doubt, and it's reasonable. Like, it makes sense.
Yep.
I know some people will disagree with that. That's fine. But and now what does this mean? This is a bad look all the way around. Because, again, you have this Extreme Series sitting out there.
Yeah.
They run
but it's a bad look, but USAC did everything I think they went above and beyond. I really do. I think they went above and beyond to not only for their reputation, but other people involved.
Yeah, no, I think they did. But you still have the Extreme Series out there. You still have people who are going to think what they're going to think. We live in a world of conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
It's the most, and that started in the last probably 6-7 years, where we have more conspiracy theories than ever, and it goes into racing as well. So I feel bad for USAC a little bit because, now the nice thing is in the way news cycles work now, and you know this, it'll go away.
Yeah.
The Aaron Reitzel things went away.
Yeah. By the end of the week, you won't even know anything happened.
It might take more than that. Safety, that doesn't matter anymore. We see that.
No. Yep.
So, but hopefully everything gets straightened out and everybody can move on and they can start their season. They're off this week. Again, the Extreme Series runs in Missouri, so we'll see what happens. But that's going to wrap up segment 3, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. We'll be back with our final segment. Stay tuned. If you're looking for exciting 410 sprint car action, head out to Bridgeport Motorsports Park on Tuesday, April 19th for the much-anticipated invasion of the Posse. The Pennsylvania Stars, along with some All-Star Circuit of Champions regulars, will be vying for a top prize of $7,500 in the main event. For more information, head over to BridgeportMotorsportsPark.com. Catch the excitement of 410 sprint car racing at Bridgeport Motorsports Park. You don't want to miss it. Welcome to our final segment, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Ryan, it's the picks, and these segments are just getting better and better and better as the weeks go by. This is going to be my favorite.
Apparently they are.
It's going to be my favorite segment.
I'm glad I can help you.
You are helping me.
I know.
You did get a
I
win.
know.
You did get a win last week at Votto with Brad Sweet. I had him at
But after that, thank God for rainouts, I guess.
Well, we don't know. I'm saying that because I picked up 18 spots on you. I beat you 2-1. I picked up a top 5, picked up 2 top 10s on you. If this happens every week, I'll be happy.
I guess.
But this week's another week. Anything can happen, and we're gonna jump right in. World of Outlaws. You have a doubleheader in Missouri Friday night. They're at where are they at? They're
US 36.
US 36 Raceway and Lake Ozark Speedway. I almost flipped them. That's why I had to look at my notes here. And Lake Ozark's interesting. It's wide open. I think is the right way.
It is interesting. Yeah, no, I agree.
Donnie looked faster this week. Had a second. What do you have? 2 seconds, I believe.
Devils, but yeah, I believe he was second at Devils Bowl.
2 seconds, and still 96 points out in 5th. But Brad Sweet leading by 32 markers over Carson Macedo, who's still hanging in there. Points way too early to really get too worried about him. I just think it's interesting that Brad Sweet's still that consistency. Won last week. He's going to be hard to beat. It's just David Gravel did not have a good Devil's Bowl. Logan Schuchart, again, not good at Devil's Bowl. Blew a motor running 3rd in the heat race. It's just not a good start for him.
No, and Jacob had another great week. I mean, I think he ran 5th at Devil's Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
So there's speed there that just Logan doesn't have it.
No. And when's it going to happen? Like Devil's Bowl, he's really good at Devil's Bowl.
Really good.
So
really good. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the coming weeks, how things pan out for him. But you start off the picks. You pick first, US 36 Raceway. I'm sure you've done your homework. I have not.
Brad Sweet.
Would he just taking him because he finished in the top 5 everywhere? Or?
Precisely. Plus, it's a small track. He'll be fine there.
Yeah, no, he will. US 36. I have no information on this. I should have hit up our boy Corey Nishaw for this, and I didn't. But it's a short track, and you're right. Sweet is good on the short tracks. Give me, Sheldon.
Craig Kinzer.
Now, Sheldon wasn't really good this week again. I think he had a top 5 at Votto, but
yeah, I think he might have. I think he was 3rd there, actually.
Yeah, I don't know.
Take someone who's going to crash and burn, please. I need some
No.
spot there. Come on.
I'm going to take Sheldon. I think he'll be back on it at US 36.
Okay.
And then Lake Ozark. Ooh. I hate to. See, Sweet's been up and down there. I'm going to take Brad, though. I can't give up a top 5. Who do you got at Lake Ozark?
Well, it's the Jason Johnson Classic, right?
I think so.
I got 2 cars I'm picking from. Both were former Jason Johnson pilots. Well, one is, one was. The 41. It's just magical things happen when there's Jason Johnson involved in races that car's at.
So you're going with Macedo.
Yeah.
I was debating that, but I don't know.
Gravel was my other pick.
Yeah, no.
But another guy that does really good there. You know who it is?
Logan's done decent there.
McFadden. McFadden's been good there.
All right. Well, if we have a Wheatley pool,
Yeah.
that's something to look at.
Yeah.
All-Stars finally restart their season.
Well, maybe.
Weather's not
It's warm enough.
Yeah, well, it's in the 40s out there. They got a 2-day show at Attica Raceway Park. It's going to be chilly. It could be a little moisture in the air. We're going to pick it, but I just don't know if that's. I don't know if it's going to happen. I just don't. I feel bad.
I feel like I'm with you.
But we'll pick it. I mean, obviously, Courtney's going to start it, try and defend his title. Justin Peck's been good in Central PA for the most part. Corey Eliason shown some speed with the Outlaws at times. Of course, you always have the regulars out there. You have Cap Henry, who's always pretty good in Ohio. So who do you got Friday night if we run?
Well, I'm going to take
Chris Andrews.
Corey Eliason.
I was going to put you down.
Corey Eliason. I like what I've seen with the Out. I mean, he's in the top 10 in points with the Outlaws this year. That tells me you're running pretty good against some really stiff competition.
Yeah.
He's raced a lot, which I like because not all the All-Stars have raced a lot. So I'm going with Corey.
All right. Fair enough. I'm going to take Justin Peck. Really good at Attica.
Yeah. Good
And then I'm
pick.
going to come back with Tyler Courtney because I can shut you out.
Yeah, you can because I was going to take him, so I'll have to take Justin Peck then.
All right.
I don't. The only reason I didn't take Courtney the first night was he hasn't raced for a while, man. He hasn't raced his own car for a while.
Yeah.
I
I don't
Hey.
think it matters.
okay.
I just think he's good. That's it.
No, I'm not saying he's not good. I don't know. We'll go there.
Well, we have the King of the West again. And our King of the West goes to Keller Auto Speedway. Obviously, you pick first. I can almost guarantee where you're going with this.
I got to go with Dom.
All right. Fair enough.
Who knows who knows what car Justin will show up in.
Justin's running the 57 again.
He is, for sure.
He is.
Well, there you go. See, you get all this privy information that I don't get. So
I should
go right ahead and pick Justin.
I'm going to take Justin Sanders.
I figured you would. You didn't want to touch that 83, did you?
No. Are you
Not
kidding?
after my crash and burn.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm kidding you.
I wasn't going there.
Yeah.
No. If I was going anywhere else, Mitchell Facinto, I'd go there. Neto let me down in the Wheatley pool last week.
Yeah.
So no, I got to go with that 57. It's
I understand.
so going to bring it back to Central PA. Williams Grove has the Yellow Breeches 500, a little different. Usually a handicap show in past years. Now it's group time trials. which I know that makes some people very angry. John Westbrook. Not happy that they're taking away handicap shows. I understand both sides of it. So I really don't.
Yeah, but I like John's driver. I think he's got a
Bowling?
little future. Yeah, I think he's got a little future ahead of him.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
I
I
like him.
like him.
No, I agree. But
Yeah.
Williams Grove, think they could get in. I think they could get in. It's supposed to be 62 Friday. Wish that was how it was at Attica, but that's not the case. Low percentage of rain afternoon. Who knows? But we're picking, and I pick first.
You do.
It's a handicap show.
No, you just told me it's group time trials.
That's right. They screwed me up. I'm sorry.
Holy cow.
I misspoke. It's a group time trials.
See, he's trying to lead me astray already.
I forgot. I'm sorry. After 2 years of Yellow Breeches handicap.
Yeah. That was the whole point of Yellow Breeches.
Last I checked. And it would have been a slam dunk Dietrich because he hasn't had it's the one place he hasn't finished in the top 5 yet. So
Yeah.
I would have jumped all over that. But
Well, you still can.
time trials, though. Yeesh.
Yeesh.
Ugh.
So make a pick here. Come on, Chief.
I'm taking Dietrich.
That's my man.
I actually probably screwed that up.
You did. I think you did. I'm glad you took him there.
But
Give me
I wasn't going to get him at Lincoln anyway.
Raymer.
I wasn't going to get him at Lincoln anyway.
Yep. And then you can do your little preface for Lincoln, but I'm pretty sure you know who I'm taking.
Yep. Weldon Sterner Memorial, $6,900 to win. Could have some invaders in if Attica bangs out early enough. Just keep that in mind. Ryan, it's a time trial.
You know where they'll go?
They're not going to go to Port.
Okay.
It's open wheel madness up at Port Royal
Okay.
Speedway. They're going to go for $6,900 at Lincoln.
Okay.
You don't think? Obviously, you don't think. So,
I think Justin Peck's the only one that'll come in.
exactly.
But
Sure.
here's the problem. Oh, well, no, it would be Saturday, so they would have had a bang. Yeah, no. Yeah, you might have one or two. I don't think you'll have many.
I just see
Because
Justin.
I think if Attica, here's the thing. If Attica bangs out, they're pretty good at being nice to teams. When I say that, especially traveling teams, they will bang that thing out at 8 or 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning.
Oh,
You know
they'll
what
do
I'm saying?
it for that.
Yeah. So guys will have a chance to either say, hey, I'm just going to stay home, or, I'm going to head in there. So we'll see.
Who do you got at Lincoln?
At Lincoln,
Dietrich.
Dietrich, and not just the 8 variety. I'm going with the 48 variety.
Not going with Billy Dietrich?
No, I'll leave him for you. You and Joe can take him.
Where will Macri go?
I honestly don't know, because I didn't even think about that, but I would just guess Port, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm just stopping.
I wish I could help. I wish I could truthfully help you on that, but I can't.
Yeah, I'm sure you're really busting.
No,
up.
I'm serious. I can't, because I don't know. I didn't ask the question.
Well, I got to take somebody who I know is going to be there. It's going to be time trials. Give me Freddie. I have no choice. Baps Motor Speedway, Sunday. If you can't be at the track, you can catch it on SprintCarUnlimited.tv. It's our first of 7 410 sprint car races throughout the season, all strategically placed. You can catch them all on our pay-per-view platform, but we want you to go to the track. Ryan, Baps Motor Speedway, again, perfect size, always has some good racing. I probably should have went with Dietrich there because he's really good there.
He is.
Yeah, he is. But I'm going to take Anthony Macri there.
Okay.
And the other thing about BAPS is you get some guys in the top 5 who, you just don't.
Yeah.
Ryan
No, you
Smith
could have.
finished well there.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of guys. So who do you got?
Oh.
You've exhausted all your. I mean,
I have.
and Marks isn't. Gonna,
And I'll be honest with you, I don't see like Lucas Wolf had a decent weekend. Like he was decent at Port Royal. I don't see him being there though.
Probably not. Don't know.
I'm thinking like a Ryan Smith or a Mark Smith.
Mark Smith showed up at Lincoln last week.
Yeah. No, I think he's going to run there.
He's going to run more 410 races.
Yeah, he's going to run a lot of 410 races from what I understand. You took Macri. We already exhausted Dietrich and Raymer.
Sucks when Mark leaves town and DeWeese doesn't run.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Give me – man.
Freddie Raymer, by the way, is the defending champion of the Weldon Sterner Memorial.
Yes, I saw you had that there.
He's going to back it up.
Trying to think of guys who generally go good at BAPS that obviously we haven't picked. I think Ryan Smith's the guy that's left.
Chase Teat sometimes goes well there. He's won
Yeah,
there.
is he going to be there? Like, that's the question.
I think Chase will be there. I think like
give me Ryan Smith.
Give
me Ryan Smith. I don't know who else to take.
Well, if he's not there, he'll probably be there, I would assume.
Yeah, he knows it's one of his better places to be. So,
well, that's going to wrap up this edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Stay tuned to SprintCarUnlimited.com all week for your sprint car needs. We're going to have plenty of content this week, and we'll be back with another show next week. Stay tuned.